This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll be making a hydrangea wreath cake. It's broken down into steps, so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. We are going to make 4 colors for this cake, and to start out, we're going to make some light green, and we're going to use this to cover our cake, so we want quite a bit of it. And we're using American style buttercream. You could use whatever kind you like. So think if you like Swiss or Italian, that's totally fine too. Just something you can pipe flowers with. And we're going to use the following liquid gel colors: lemon yellow, royal blue, and finally violet. To start with, we're making a nice light green, and I want it to be kind of a citrusy green. So I'm going to go with more yellow than blue. And I've got a little of each out on my lid here. And here we have our lovely light green. I just added a few more specks of that lemon just to make it feel a little more yellowish than blue. So it gives me a bit of that light citrusy lime kind of vibe. Next up, we're going to make some light blue, and you want quite a bit of this as well. I'm going to use some royal, just a couple of specks. We don't want it to be too dark. And then a couple of specks of my purple as well, just because I want it to have a kind of periwinkle vibe. And here we have our light blue. I had just another 2 specks of my purple, just because I wanted to kind of mute it a tiny touch and give myself a very light periwinkle vibe. Next up, we're going to make some darker blue. We're using this really just to stripe our bag, so we don't need as much of this, but I'm going to go heavier on my specks of blue and my purple. And here we have our darker shade of blue. It's really like a medium tone, and it feels almost like a French blue, and that's going to be a great stripe on our bags. And finally, we're going to make some dark green. And for this, I want to use drops. So I'm going to use a drop of my royal blue and my lemon yellow. And then I'm going to give it, just because I want to give it a bit of a forest vibe, a couple of specks of that purple. And here we have our green. You can see that gave us a nice kind of medium shade of green. And I added just a bit of that purple just to mute it a tiny touch so it's not too primary feeling. And it'll work well now with our other colors. We've loaded our colors up and we are ready to get started working. So we're going to talk about the bags and tips that we're using. We're using some 12-inch disposable bags. You can use whatever you like or have on hand. First up, we've got a bag with an 806 tip. If you don't have this one, you could use an 808. You just need a large round one with some extra white. Next, we have a bag with 2 of our blues in it. It's got a 104 tip on it. And you can see we've loaded it so that the dark blue is on top and the light is down at the bottom. So this dark blue is lined up and it's going to give us a stripe where we have that skinny end of our tip opening for our petal tip. And if you want to know more about bag striping, we've got a nice video that covers this load. Next up, we have a bag of just our light blue. This is the one we're using with a coupler. We're going to use it with a number 12 tip and a number 104. Next up, we have just a little bit of our light green loaded into a bag with a number 1 tip. And finally, we have our dark green in a bag with a number 125. It's time to review our techniques for our hydrangea wreath. And to start out with, dots. We're going to be using the number 12 tip and the 806 for these. I'm just going to demo quickly with the 12. And we want to be above the surface. Think the height you're up is about the height of the opening of that tip. And we're just going to squeeze while holding straight up and down and let it form a nice dot for us. Next up, some half mounds. We're going to do some that have a lower profile. And to do this, we're going to start out just a nice little dot and then spiral around it like we're doing a rosette rose. And you can kind of come back up into the middle a little bit. We're trying to make ourselves a nice kind of flat disc that's a little rounded to the top. So think overall profile, kind of like a half sphere. For petals, we're going to use our number 104, and we're going to do some just classic teardrop shapes. So fat end is going to start towards the center of the nail, skinny end out, up off the surface a bit. The back end of the bag is kind of towards like 130, and we're going to pull out on our nail, rotate when we get to the end, and then pull back. And that's going to give us a nice teardrop shape. And dots are going to make an appearance again. This time they're not going to be a support structure, they're actually going to be a finishing detail. We're going to use our number 1 tip and that bag of light green, and same thing, just really close to the surface this time. Squeeze, let it build up, stop, and circle around. And we're going to use these to finish the centers of our flowers. For our leaves, we're using a larger tip, and we're going to do kind of think a traditional flat leaf, but we're going to kind of scallop the edges on it. And we're using a bigger tip, so we'll get bigger leaves. Fat end is starting towards the center, and overall movement is going to be pulling up in a line. We're just going to wiggle and kind of rotate as we come to the top. So what that looks like is like that. And then we'll rotate whatever we're working on. It could be your flower nail. We could be working directly on our cake, so we'll rotate our turntable. That way it's easy when you come back down the other side. And then we get these big flat leaves that have those nice little scalloped edges on them. I've got my bag and I'm ready to get started piping. First up, we're going to pipe some big hydrangea clumps. So I'm going to use that 806, pipe myself a nice big mound. Really let that build up. Next up, we're going to go in with one of our bags of blue. It doesn't matter which one. You want to do these in both colors. And we're going to pipe those nice little teardrop petals. So think about making groups of 4. And we're just going to go all over this mound and cover it up. So work at whatever angle allows you to get in there and put on beautiful blossoms with 4 petals. And anywhere you have a gap, you can always put in a cute little single or a little double, just to make sure that we're covering up. You can see that nice little stripe starts to happen, and it starts to really do some beautiful things for you. And it doesn't take long to quickly kind of cover the entire surface. Right here at the bottom, you just want to work in whatever angle you need to kind of get that going all the way around the bottom, and then we're just going to work in a little bit. So depending on exactly how big you pipe your mound, you might need more flowers to cover the top or less. And anywhere you have a gap, you can always put in a little petal or 2 to fill up that space. Just rotate your nail as needed. I've got my bag of light green to finish off my hydrangeas, so we just want to give ourselves a little dot of light green at the center of each of our flowers. And this will make a nice little clump of hydrangea blossoms for us and really kind of help to set things off. Gives you that nice little finishing detail there. So just anywhere you need to, give it a once over. If you've got any white showing through, you can go in and stick a petal in anywhere it's needed. I'm going to go ahead and probably make about 5 of these. I'm going to do some in this color combo and some in the plain blue. Next up, we're going to make some small clumps of hydrangea blossoms. So for this, we're using the number 12 tip for the dot. So smaller mound, smaller grouping of flowers. Just above the surface. Give ourselves a nice dot. Same idea with the larger mound. We're just going to go in pipe our flowers, four leaves or petals on each one, and just work our way around. It'll probably only take you about 3 or 4 flowers, and the last one might have an uneven number of petals. So I might just have to squeeze in 2 or 3 here and give myself the idea of a flower, just to fill things up. And we're going to finish it off the exact same way, just a quick dot in the center of each of those flowers to finish them. I'm going to go ahead and make probably about 5 or 6 of these. I'm going to mix up the colors between my striped bag and my plain bag. Now we're going to make that funny little half mound we tried when we were making our technique page, and we're going to make some kind of like half clumps. So these will feel larger in some circumference, but they'll have less depth to them. So we're going to start out by doing our dot. We're going to circle around it, and then we're going to circle back into the middle. So you can see that gives us a nice little mound, but it's not as big as the one we did with our 806. I'm going to come in with a bag with a 104 tip. Again, do these in both colors, so you have some of each, some plain like the one we're making here, and some with the stripe. And go around the base first, make my little 4-petal blossoms. And since it's not that big, it shouldn't take that much work to get all the way around. But this will give us a larger clump in terms of the circumference with less depth. And we can use these on the top or even overhanging the sides of our cake. And just like before, we'll finish each individual hydrangea bloom with a little dot in the center to kind of help set our flowers off. We want to make some of these in each color, and I'll probably go ahead and make 4 or 5 of them. To get our cake ready to decorate, we're going to go ahead and cover it in that nice light green we made. And you can see we've already got the cake prepped. It's 2 6-inch rounds that we filled between with buttercream and covered in a nice smooth layer of white. So now it's going to be easy to cover it in our light green. This lets us use less food coloring and also lets people kind of eat around it, almost as if it were fondant. Once we get the top done, we'll move on to the sides. Once I make it all the way around with my spatula, and I've got a nice coating on there, I'll just quickly use my bowl scraper and my bench scraper just to kind of smooth things out and also to straighten and square them up. This will help you get nice straight sides that are really clean, really quickly. And it's easy enough to take care of the top. Just open that spatula so you can slightly see the bottom of the blade and swipe towards yourself as you turn your turntable. Just nice and light, easy pressure. We'll take care of all those bumps really quickly. We're getting ready to work on our cake, and I've pulled out some of my flower groupings. So some of my bigs, some of my halves, some of my smalls, and I've got my bags of blue and my green ready to go. And I'm going to start out by just doing a leaf right here on my cake, and just use the turntable kind of like you would your flower nail to help you adjust your position. So I'm just going to pick a spot, start going up, rotate, and come back. And I can do them in multiple directions. And don't be afraid to make some of them larger, some of them smaller, and even like some of them go over the sides. I'm keeping my bags of blue on hand, just so I have some extra. and a little bit to work with, just to help things stick. And also, I can do some piping directly on my cake. So think about putting blossoms on right there, and you can see already looks gorgeous. Once we get our first one on there, we're just going to keep working. And we're going to put some on the side in addition to on the top. So think those little half groupings that we made are perfect for going right there on the side of our cake. And then we can pipe some buttercream right behind it. So just think about building up and then pipe some flowers right on top. Just turn your cake any way you need to complete that. And when we're done, I'll go back in and add some little centers there on the back, but you can see that builds up the back of our design as well. We can also work our design inwards on our cake just a little bit. So think maybe adding some of our smalls. Just get that in, kind of overlapping our leaf, and that gets some of our second color in there as well. And I'm just going to keep going around this way. So I'm going to make myself a little area right here. To put in one of my larger clumps. And I'm going to go ahead and pick one of my solid light blue ones. So just going to nest that down right in there. And I'm going to keep working around, maybe go with a small one next. Doesn't have to be heavy all the way around. And get that on. So I have a nice mix of both the striped ones and the solid ones, and I've got some green that's that nice dark rich color to help kind of pop them off and set them off from the background. I'm going to pull out some more flowers and keep working around my cake. Don't forget to work in and out over the sides as you go, and mix up the sizes of the ones that you're using. So you can see I've been working around my cake, I've been mixing up the colors, making sure there's some of my striped next to my solids, and I'm getting back to the beginning. And don't be afraid to move things even if you need to. Sometimes I get something on there, or I hold it up and I think, not quite. And I find that just mixing it up a little bit, repositioning things if you need to, is a great way. So just give yourself a little bit of leeway and let things flow and happen however they want to. I'm just going to fill in back here. Just to make sure that has some body behind it. And then I'm going to find a nice spot for my last big grouping. I think it's going to go right there. And don't be afraid to kind of put things in on their sides as well. So some of my small ones are actually kind of propped up at an angle a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do with this last one right here. Just give myself a little bit of something down in there, and then put this one in on its side, and just make sure it's nice and secure. And just go in behind it. Put a few little striped wedges back in there, just to make sure it's solid and in place. And there we have a beautiful hydrangea wreath. We've got nice full coverage on top. It's big, it has a lot of volume. Parts of it fall gently over the side, and you can do that both with leaves and flowers. That's all for this lesson on our hydrangea wreath cake. If you liked this flower and you want a more in-depth look at it, try checking out our flower series lesson on hydrangeas. If you just love flowers in general, try checking out yearly membership in our school, which includes our brand new Flower Certificate course.
We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It truly supports our channel and helps us share more in-depth cake decorating lessons. Want to level up your skills? Our yearly membership has certificate programs from beginner and up. Learn more at cakedecoratingschool.com.